Welcome to Willow Creek, just east of Barrie on the Napoleon Logistics Center property. Here, a multi-phased restoration and phosphorus offsetting project is underway. This project brings together the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, the Midhurst Landowners Group, GEO Morphix, Napoleon, and Rumball Construction. Together, we're working to restore the health of this watercourse while offsetting phosphorus from the new Midhurst Water Treatment Facility located within the same watershed. Join Paul Villard as he walks through the ongoing and completed phases of this project and discusses the geomorphic approach to restoring this section of Willow Creek.
I'm standing in Willow Creek. This is the first phase in restoration of both the creek and the adjacent floodplain. The project was brought to life to provide offsetting for phosphorus inputs. Previously, the channel had substantial bank erosion. There was no vegetation protection to limit the rates of erosion, so the creek was migrating quite quickly through the soil and sediment on its floodplain. In that soil and sediment is a proportion of phosphorus. That means that that material that was trapped on the floodplain was being re-released into Willow Creek and then going down to the receiving lakes and wetlands. By reducing the rates of erosion through the application of bioengineering and by reconnecting the channel with its floodplain, you can actually reduce the inputs of sediment and therefore phosphorus into the creek, and we can use that for offsetting anthropogenic inputs of phosphorus in other locations in the watershed.
Phosphorus is an essential nutrient for plants, but when it enters our rivers and lakes in excess, it promotes algae blooms that cloud the water and decrease the oxygen available to fish and wildlife. Phosphorus offsetting involves reducing phosphorus elsewhere in the same watershed to balance those inputs. This can be achieved by restoring eroding stream banks, reconnecting floodplains, or enhancing wetlands. By restoring the banks of Willow Creek, we reduce the amount of phosphorus that enters the creek and its downstream water bodies. This is a practical, nature-based, geomorphic solution to protect water quality in the Nottawasaga River system.
This bank is a really good example of what was here before the restoration project started. As you can see, we have an organic layer down here, very dark and rich. We then have floodplain sediments consisting of sand in different laminae. And then we see a new soil horizon near the top of this floodplain where the herbaceous vegetation is established. You can see the extent of the rooting. It extends about 30 centimeters below the herbaceous species. And then we have about 1.5 meters till we get to the current water level. Because of these conditions, the very sinuous bend that concentrates energy in this location, and the fact that the roots that would protect this area from erosion end way up here, this area has been eroding and the channel's been migrating laterally quite quickly.
Much of the phosphorus in our watershed isn't just from runoff. It's already stored in the soils and sediments of stream banks. When those banks erode, the phosphorus stored there is released back into the water. Here we are utilizing a suite of natural channel design techniques to restore stability and enhance habitat. The use of root wads, native vegetation, and reconnecting the creek to its floodplain with gentle slopes helps keep phosphorus where it belongs, found in the land and not in the water.
This is a great place to stop to look at one of the recently installed bank treatments. We have boulders along the toe to protect from erosion, and then there is a terrace that's about 1 meter to 2 meters back, and then the slope is graded back at 3 to 1. Across the entire surface are native sod mats, providing basically instant vegetation to protect the bank from erosion. They'll come back, they'll install live stakes and shrubs that will provide additional resistance. If you look at this site in comparison to the first one we looked at, you can see how there's substantially less opportunity for erosion and that the rooting depth has been brought down to the water level to reduce the potential for the removal of the soil, and the vegetation can provide protection. I'm standing in front of a root wad bank treatment. Basically, it's a bioengineering technique where you take a section of the trunk and the root mass and install it in the bank to provide roughness along the face of the bank. It's buried into the bank approximately 2 meters, which provides a way of anchoring the root mass along the bank. It provides roughness that dissipates energy and reduces erosion. It also provides opportunities for small fish, particularly during high velocity periods. The bank treatment itself is appropriate for this area because there's a lot of fine sediments, and basically it will hold it in place. In many cases, when root wads are installed correctly, they'll actually trap a portion of the sediment too. Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority has used Christmas trees, either tying them into the bank with cables or actually lodging them in the bank and then burying them to provide roughness at the interface between the creek and the floodplain to reduce erosion. They provide an area for small fish to hide during high velocity conditions and basically improve the environment while reducing erosion of the floodplain in this area of Willow Creek.
Prior to this work, the eroding banks at this site released approximately 240 kilograms of phosphorus per year into Willow Creek. After restoration, it decreases to roughly 31 kilograms per year. This is a reduction of more than 200 kilograms annually. This project demonstrates what can be achieved when conservation authorities, engineers, scientists, and developers work together to protect our shared environment. Cleaner water starts here, in the soil, along the banks, and through partnerships that make restoration happen.